all the games I used to play in my younger, wilder days. The game of clubs and tees and never.
Welcome into another episode of the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. As always, I'm Andrew Putters here with my partner in crime, Joe Nicely. We're back together this week for the Phoenix Open. Waste Management. Is the Waste Management name's gone, isn't it? Is it just Phoenix Open now?
I think they cut it down to just WM, the WM Phoenix Open.
Yep, you're right. WM, the Phoenix Open branded as the WM Phoenix Open for sponsorship reasons. You're right, Joe. TPC at Scottsdale. But let's first talk about last week. The Att Pro-Am ended up, it seems like this happens about every year. The Sunday is usually really good on this tournament. I think it's because of the playability of the golf course and the great history of the golf course too. If you can get the irons going, Joe, at Pebble and really get that putter moving, you can shoot a pretty good number. And we saw that a bunch this weekend. What Spieth did? Was Spieth shoot the 63 at Pebble or at Monterey? Can't remember.
I think at Pebble.
Yeah, he shot 63 on Saturday at Pebble to get him in contention. Joe had a 2-shot lead, 4 or 5 holes to go. Looked like he all but had it and just really choked it out. But you know what? Tom Hoge, 19 under, wins by 2 shots. I think we've talked about him several times on this show. I really like his game, and I think we'll see more of Tom Hoge in competitive tournaments on certain golf courses.
Yeah, man. He's been kind of trending over the past year or so. We've seen him pop up for some top 10s, top 5s, make some deep runs, and it seems like it's kind of progression. Kind of a progression for some of these guys. They got to get themselves in contention a few times, kind of get the feel for it, and then eventually they're able to break through. But great win for Hoge. Kind of a tough loss for Jordan Spieth. Personally, tough for me, man. Second week in a row, my one and done's finished second, so it's just brutal. Kind of worried about Spieth's ability to close, honestly, man. We're seeing him back in contention, but just didn't able to shut the door on these guys. You feel like, rolling into 17, he's kind of got the tournament in hand. An unforced error there, hitting it in the bunker and then missing a 5-footer. Played 18 horribly. So kind of a combo of Hoge playing really well and grabbing it, but Spieth kind of letting another one slip away.
Yeah, another person that was right up there, Joe, that really I feel like didn't get any airtime Sunday. That's Patrick Cantley. He was in the driver's seat early as well. Very surprised. I wasn't surprised that he didn't win, because I was sitting there thinking, he's played well for so long now, a few months now, that putter is going to have to cool off at some point. And it just seemed like it did on Sunday. But that kind of field and that golf course, Patrick Cantley seems to play very well against easy fields or lesser than average fields on the PGA Tour. And I actually, going into Sunday, kind of thought he had the upper hand. I was already concerned about Spieth's ability to close just from – it isn't just – let's be honest, Joe. When we've seen him very dominant, it's whenever he's making everything. He's making every putt. And I don't mean that he doesn't like a great ball striker. I'm not saying that at all. But when he's been dominant, he's making everything. And he made everything on Saturday. So, it's usually hard to put 36 holes like that together. That was my only concern about him going into Sunday.
Yeah, you can't question his ball striking, man. He absolutely blistered the irons. Gained 5.8 strokes on approach for the week, led the field in strokes gained approach. So the iron play was there. And that's something we'll talk about heading into this week. But yeah, just tough, man. It just almost feels like there's, I don't want to say jitters, but just not that killer instinct to close from Spieth. Cantley kind of fell apart down the stretch, made a couple bogeys there over his last 6-7 holes to fall out of contention. So didn't see that closing ability from him, which is kind of surprising, man, because we saw him, just be tough as nails down the stretch there through the playoffs and into the FedEx Cup. Obviously won that. So a little bit surprised that Cantley wasn't able to close the deal out, but he was a tremendous play last week. We talked about on here. We had Eric Darbo on, and another huge thanks to him, Eric Darbo, Sweet Spot DFS, for coming on last week. But we really liked that Stars and Scrubs build. Eric really liked Cantley. I did as well. So, each tournament kind of has its own identity. Each DraftKings slate has its own identity. Feel like we were on some things last week, kind of hit the nail on the head on some stuff. But man, I'm so glad that we were done with these Pro-Ams, AP. And this tournament this week is one of the most fun ones we see all year, man. We got the Super Bowl kind of collides with the final round, so that's always awesome. The field just keeps getting better and better. This is the best one I can remember, so I'm pumped for this one, man.
Yeah, let's just get right into it. So you called it the WM Phoenix Open. The tournament originated in 1932. It's played at the TPC Scottsdale. A lot of two-time winners, it seems like, over the recent history. You got, obviously Phil won it 3 times. Hideki's won it a couple of times. Brooks Koepka's won it a couple of times. Surprisingly enough, though, most of your winners, except for Webb Simpson, have very similar games in the last 20 years, Joe, as far as like they hit it well off the tee. They're very good on approach, very good on long par fours. But then Webb Simpson's kind of of course, you never know about him, right? He's one of those guys that can win on any golf course if he gets it going. So, like you said, play at TPC Scottsdale. It is 7,200 yards, par 71. Looks like we've got Bermuda with some POA greens. Tees and fairways are going to be Bermuda with some rye in it. Rough is Bermuda also, perennial rye, fine fescue, overseed. What can we say about this golf course that probably isn't already known? I think I've already touched on that the over 400 to 500 par 4 play is important. Approach is important. Really, this is one of those tournaments, though, Joe, that putting kind of goes out the window whenever you're trying to put together a strategy for the tournament. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so, man. Just like any golf course, I mean, I think you can point to several things, but when you start trying to pinpoint what works, what helps these guys to win here, let me give you some stats, AP. 2021 last year, Brooks Koepka finished the week second in strokes gained approach. 2020 Webb Simpson first in strokes gained approach. 2019 Ricky Fowler 17th in approach. 2018 Gary Woodland second in approach for the week, and 2017 Hideki first in strokes gained approach. So second, first, 17th in strokes gained approach over the last 5 winners. I'm going to iron play, man. That's what I'm focusing on this week.
Yeah, I agree. I love the iron play. When I was building my model, I've got par 3s over 200, strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach is my heaviest weighted by a long shot. Par 4 play 450 to 500, and bogey avoidance. Those other 4 weighted, somewhere around 10-15%, and then shots gained approach is way out there at 50% versus the others. But in my model, strangely enough, I've got Brooks Koepka, Joe, 117th in this field. Now, this is based on recent form, and I feel like, honestly, when you're talking about Brooks Koepka and Jordan Spieth, those are 2 players that we can kind of just throw stats out the window. Honestly, we don't know. They can both win on any golf course, anywhere, anytime. And let's be honest, some golf courses fit some players better. And with recent form, we're going to get to the slate. Let's just go and get to it. 11. Let's start up here. Vic Hovland, Matsuyama, Cantley, JT, and Rahm. That's 10K and above. I will say this just before you even get a chance to talk. This is a star-studded top 5. Vic Hovland ranked out number 1 in my model.
Yeah. We love him, man. We've been talking about him ever since he broke on the PGA Tour, and the kid's a star. So let's just start with Vic and work our way up this week. Won 3 out of the last 5 times he's played. He's won. Had a huge win over in Europe a couple weeks ago, I believe at Abu Dhabi. I don't remember if it was Abu Dhabi or Dubai, but anyway, won over there, huge win, won the Hero. I mean, we kind of know what that is. Won in Mayakoba. So he's really starting to put some things together, man. And I think a win in the U.S. is coming very soon. Just love his game all the way around. The short game's improving, trending in the right direction. He's showing that he can do it under pressure. So a lot to like with Victor. Kind of his only shortcoming this week, if you're kind of picking at him a little bit, is the lack of course history. Only has one start in this event. Back in 2020, missed the cut. But we know what type of talent he is, man. So a great play, and really all these guys above 10K are. Hideki, obviously the course history is amazing. Two-time winner here, had a couple of top fours leading up to those 2 wins. Has a T16 and a T15 over the last 3 years here, and we know what kind of form he's in, man. Won back in November at the Zozo. Opened this year with a win over at Sony, where he played just amazing golf over the weekend to run down Russell Henley. So a lot to love about Hideki. I was hoping we might catch him under 10, but that was probably wishful thinking with his course history here in recent form. But love Hideki this week, man, for sure. Cantley, we talked about, just an all-world high-class player. No course history, though. That's kind of the concern with Cantley. We know he's playing great golf. He's been in the mix every time he's teed it up this year. JT, we have to think a win's coming at some point, man. He's going to break through here eventually as well. 2 top 3s here in his last 3 starts. He likes to play this event. It's on his schedule every single year. Just hadn't been able to put 4 rounds together, man. Struggled out of the gate at Century. Closed very strong, and kind of the opposite at Torrey, where he opened in great shape and then struggled over the weekend. So JT's there. Just got to put 4 rounds together. Love him here. And then John Rahm. What can you say about him, man? Top ranked player in the world, has played great this year. This event's really special to him. He went to Arizona State, played in this event as an amateur back in 2015, got a 5th place finish while he was still in college. So he loves this golf course, loves this crowd, loves this area, and he's playing great golf, man. So they're getting a bad pick above 10K this week, AP. I think you can go with any of these guys. I'm fine starting your lineups with pretty much any player up here this week.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, if you look at the tournament history, it might concern you with Hovland and Cantley, but like you said, really can't go wrong up here. The only thing that, it seems like as a professional, Rahm has had trouble breaking through up here, but had trouble breaking through, but he's finished top 15 like the last 5 times basically. But if you're going to play 11-6, you got to get a top 2 finish really. So be thinking about that when you're building your lineup. Moving on down to the 9K, Bubba Watson, Scotty Sheffler, Berger, who knows about the injury there, Burns, Kepka, Xander, Jordan Spieth. I think we've already talked a little bit about Kepka and Spieth in my model. They're way up in the hundreds, to be honest with you. But like I said, this is based on recent form. Berger in that class grades the best for me, but obviously injury concerns. So if I'm highlighting anybody in this range, it's going to be Sam Burns. Projected 11% ownership, 9,300. And definitely full fade on Bubba Watson, even though he finished runner-up over the pond this last week.
Yeah, a lot to like in this range, man. I think there are a lot of directions you can take. Sometimes I let ownership kind of dictate that, but I really like Jordan Spieth, man. I know we talked about the concerns with him closing. Those are legit, I feel, but man, I like to ride him when he's hot and when those irons are firing. That's kind of my marker that I look for with Jordan Spieth, because he can do it smoke and mirrors sometimes. We talked about that on here when he's just making tons of putts and the short game's amazing and all that. But like last week was legit, man. Like I said, gained 5.8 strokes on approach last week at Pebble. We know what he did here last year, had that kind of legendary Saturday 61. And that kind of kick-started his comeback, man. Ended up with a T4 last year, but he also has a T9 on his resume here. And has a 7th place finish as well. So last year wasn't a fluke. So I love going right back to Jordan, just kind of riding the hot hand with him. That's when I like to play him when he's got some momentum going. He certainly does. Xander's course history is amazing. Had this tournament kind of by the throat last year and let it slip away. We can talk about, his ability to close, or inability to close, if you want to call it that. But he certainly has to feel like he let one get away here last year, had a T2. But he's been tremendous in this event, man. Top 17 finishes in each of the last 4 years at this golf course. So you have to love Xander, just an all around great player, and one of those guys that you always feel good rostering. Brooks, I know he's a defending champion. I know he has elite ability and talent, and he has the ability to win any golf tournament. But I'm just out, man, unless it's a major championship or there's some other indicator pointing me in his direction. I'm just out on Brooks for right now. You mentioned Burns. The form's great. It was over the fall and last year. I actually really like Daniel Berger, but you mentioned the back injury, AP. So that kind of puts us in wait and see mode. I will say this: if he looks okay and his ownership's going to be way down because people are scared to play him, I'll be there, man. I'll just go overweight because he's played really good on this golf course and just so consistent when he tees it up, man. Has 3 of his last 5 starts have been T11 or better in the Phoenix Open. So I really like him on this course, but the back is a concern. And then Scotty Sheffler, another one of those guys that you're just always comfortable rostering, has played really well. Played good at Torrey. The finish wasn't great. I think he had like a T20 at the Farmers, but T to green, he was very, very good in that golf tournament. He had a T7 in this event last year. So I think there's a lot of ways you can go in the 9s, man. This is going to be one of those weeks where the field is so good. Instead of trying to find guys to play, we're going to have a tough time kind of crossing some names off our list.
Yeah, let's go back in time last year. I believe, Xander had the lead going the final round. Jordan could not hit it on earth off the tee. I feel like he's maybe hit it out of bounds and snapped it in the water on that short par 4 in the back.
Sheffler was up there as well. Sheffler and Xander were both fighting right there.
Right. Now, I feel like, all of a sudden, boom, James Holland had a 2-shot lead at one time. Then he shot 43 on the back 9. And then really Brooks Kepka chipped in on the like 14, 15 for birdie, and then made on the short par 4, got up and down for another birdie. And that's just what I remember watching this on Sunday because it was a star-studded leaderboard, and I was looking forward to it. But yeah, and Brooks really was not even in that conversation all day until like 5 holes to go. So anyway, yeah, it should be exciting. I love that range. Moving on down to the 8K range, Joe, I feel like this is where you can kind of make some weight against the field. With the exception of maybe one guy. I'm going to be steering clear of Tony Finau. And on this list I'm about to read off: Tony Finau, Luis Oosthuizen, Fitzpatrick, Webb Simpson, Adam Scott, Seamus Power, Corey Connors, Henley, Hoagie, and English. Definitely steering clear of Finau. I know he had like a pretty decent finish a few years back. Let's look here. 2020 finished second. He missed 3 previous cuts before that. Did not play here last year. I just think this course don't set up for him. He doesn't, specifically pay long par 4s well, which is surprising. He makes all his money on par 5 scoring. He's not great on bogey avoidance either. So I'm just not a fan of him. My number one, my 2 guys in this range I'm going to be looking at: Tom Hoagie and Luis Oosthuizen. They're my 2 favorites in the 8K range. With all those other guys too. I mean, we love Corey Connors, Seamus Power. He's been playing well. 2-time defending champion Webb Simpson. So, who do you like in the 8K range, Joe?
Believe it or not, man, I think. Which there's some really good players in here. I think my favorite might be Russell Henley, man. Tough beat at Sony, but bouncer out back there at the Amex. Played really well. Has some good course history here. It's a little up and down, but we see that with Henley though, because his form, there for a couple of years kind of went off the planet. So we're seeing a lot of these kind of in the recent 5 years. There's a couple of years where the course history just isn't going to be good because he wasn't playing good golf. But I like the upside, man. And as I mentioned kind of at the opener, I really am focusing on iron play this week. And Henley's killing it, man. Gained 6.6 strokes at the Sony when he lost to Decky there. But like I said, kind of bounced right back, hung tough. I was surprised that he was able to kind of follow up. That was a tough loss, man. And I was surprised he was able to follow it up with the T14 at the Amex. He gained 3.5 strokes on approach in that event. So Russell Henley's really popping for me at this price tag, and with his iron play. I think that's my favorite in the range. There are certainly some other ways you can go. You mentioned Tony. I really don't know where to put Tony right now. Locked him at the Farmers on a golf course at Torrey Pines, where he's historically played tremendous, and he didn't play well. Louis coming off a long layoff. This is going to be his first time teeing it up in 2022, so there's always that rust factor there. Webb used to be Mr. Dependability, has been for us for years, but I don't know that that's the case anymore. We might have to kind of adjust the way we view Webb, at least until he puts a couple of starts together for us. And I like Seamus. Kind of say what you will about him, but the guy continues to put results up. Had a lead at the AT&T last week through 36 holes. So my favorite is Russell Henley, and maybe my second favorite Seamus Powers there.
Yeah, I know you and Spencer are real high on Power, have been for a while. I'm wondering if he's starting to cool off now after you saw what happened to him on the weekend. I wonder if he's starting to cool off. That would be my only concern there. Moving on to the 7K range, too many names to mention. I will say this, my two best graded out players in the 7K range are Taylor Gooch and Luke List, probably based on the performance in the fall and of course, Luke List won that tournament a couple weeks ago. You got Harold Varner, just coming off a huge victory. Got him in the top 50 in the world over the pond. Probably going to be a little bit running that high, but I do not like him here, Joe. I'm sorry. Fowler's won here before. But strangely enough, the 7K range probably might be my value play of the week. Putnam got his first little taste there last week, being right there on the leaderboard, going in the back nine and really just fell apart. I don't mind him here in this spot in the 7K range, Joe. Andrew Putnam. What do you think? And CH Lee as well.
T7 here last year, and has played really well. I mean, he didn't exactly come out of nowhere last week. He'd had some strong finishes this season. And obviously from the T7 last year, he can handle this golf course. So, you never know how guys are going to react to being in contention, but he played well. Pretty solid, had a T6 last week, but if we look back at his other two starts this year, a T14 at Amex and a T27 at the Sony, so he's really putting together a nice little season to this point. A couple guys you mentioned there, Luke List, you just have to absolutely love the ball striking and the iron play. The only concern is he's coming off that huge win at the Farmers. You always kind of wonder how guys are going to react to getting that first win. You mentioned HV3. I'm out. I'm pretty much out on any guys that were playing in Saudi last week. We've seen from in the past, from Dustin Johnson specifically comes to mind. That's a tough trip to make back to the West Coast of the United States and then tee it up and play the next week. So, that would be my only concern for a guy like Xander up at the top would be that trip back. But really like List. Max Homa's a guy I think we can look at this price point. We've been seeing him up in the 8K range. So I'm willing to give him a look at 7,600. He likes this golf course a lot. Lives in the area now. So had a T6 here in 2020. So I'm willing to look at Max Homa. Keith Mitchell's a guy that's playing really good golf. Had a T16 back here in 2020. Missed the cut last year here, but we're seeing him come in with some very nice form. Kuchar's been extremely solid throughout his career in this event, and we're starting to see his form round back into shape a little bit. Russell Knox, a ball striker that we like. KH Lee kills TPC courses. And then we got some really talented guys down here, man, at the bottom of the 7K range. The course history isn't there, but I feel like the talent is, and the two guys I kind of have in mind when I say that are Cameron Davis and Aaron Wise at 72 and 7,100. I think you can look at those guys just from a talent perspective. It feels like there's upside there when their games are on.
Yeah. My only concern is it just seems like Wise is every time we've mentioned his name, it's like straight dumpster fire. I don't. But if there is one tournament where putting doesn't matter, this has got to be the place we got to play him at, right, Joe? So
Yeah, that's true. And kind of this little stretch, this West Coast swing has not necessarily been his strong suit historically. I don't know that these courses are great for him. His course history at Torrey wasn't good, and he missed the cut at the Farmers. His course history here is limited. Certainly hadn't shown anything course history wise to make us want to pull the trigger. A missed cut and a T66 in his 2 starts here, but you just feel like there's a lot of talent there for $7,100. Mito hanging out there at 7K. We know how talented he is. He's making his course. That's kind of the concern there. And then you got some course history plays. If you do want to take that angle at the bottom of the 7Ks, Brandon Grace's course history is amazing. Had a runner-up finish here to Ricky a couple years ago in 2019, then had a T9 in 2020. The form's been really bad, the recent form with Grace, but if you want to kind of take the course history into account, he's certainly somebody you can look at down here in the low 7s. A lot of guys. It's a strong field, so this is what we see, man. A lot of quality players in the 7s and even on down into the high 6s this week.
Yeah, absolutely. In the high 6s, many players you could actually see making a run. It's gonna be tough to predict, but it wouldn't surprise me if you saw 5 guys in the top 10 out of the 6K range. Just because they're, like you said, very deep field. Just some right off the top of the mind. With this already what we said is going to be needed. To play well on this course, you got like Lucas Glover's great on approach. Nick Taylor's usually great on approach. Ches Reeves great on approach. Martin Lard's great on approach. Emilio Grillo's perfect great on approach. So I mean, tons of guys down here in the 6K range would make sense. Not really willing to hang my hat on any of them though, Joe. Maybe those first 3 I mentioned with the those first 3 I mentioned, which was Taylor, Luke, Glover, and Ches Reeve. And then you slide on down low 6K, and this might be my dart. I don't know. You got Sepp Strappa, and there was a guy at 62 that I loved. Austin Eckhart. I like him this week. Plays long par 3s well, plays long par 4s well. His approaching off the tee are great, and he's probably only going to be about 4 or 5% on 6,200. I like him down here, Joe.
Yeah, Eckhart's a really talented player, man, out of Oklahoma State. A lot of people think he's kind of the next great player to come out of there. We saw a kind of a glimpse. Had a really nice round last week in the AT&T. So, I think a lot of people will be looking at him at that price tag this week, but, there's a lot of talent there. And there is really throughout these 6s. I mean, these are guys we know, guys that we've seen play well at different times. Guy that immediately jumps out to me, you mentioned him, Andrew, is Nick Taylor. There at 6,800. The course history isn't great here, but the form's really solid. He's gained strokes on approach in all 3 of his starts this season. He's coming off a T14 last week at Pebble. And had solid finishes in his other 2 starts this year. So I really like Nick Taylor. Even though the course history doesn't bear that out, I do like the form there. Another guy coming off a strong outing that actually does have very good course history is Nate Lashley. Not a guy we talk about a lot, but gained over 4 strokes tee to green last week. And in 2 starts in this event, he's got a T17 and a T3. So we got kind of a nice collision of recent form and course history there with Nate Lashley at 6,700. Some more talented guys, man, as we work our way down. Sahih Takala is a really interesting rookie coming up off the KFT. We've seen some nice outings out of him this year. Neesmith's a guy that a lot of people were on last week, me included, and he kind of faded out there, man. Had a brutal triple bogey late Saturday to miss that 54-hole cut. But he had a T7 in this golf tournament last year. So I think kind of going right back to the Neesmith well is kind of an interesting play. Anytime you talk about ball striking, Doug Gim's name pops up. We can roster him for $6,600 this week. So I think that's worth looking at. You mentioned Sepp Straka. He's a really, kind of up and down player, but we know that upside's there. So there's certainly some guys you can go to down here. With all the talent up at the top, it might be a week, where there is some depth on this scale, where you're willing to kind of jump down into the sixes in order to get a couple of those top tier guys in your lineup.
So Joe, where's your dart at this week?
I think there's a lot of legit plays, man. As you get down into the low sevens and upper sixes, I think there's a lot of ways you can go. A lot of guys I like. I will throw out, just to kind of dip down in the sixes, I'll throw out Nick Taylor. The course history I don't love, but I am comfortable with his recent form. Just been really solid, man, doing everything pretty well. And if you want to get real deep, I'll toss out a mention of Nate Lashley down there as well.
That's deep in there. Let's look at my man Chaz Reavie, 6,800. Hasn't played well as of late, but his approach numbers are really good in the last 6 tournaments, even though he hasn't played well. Love his approach game. Love anywhere where par is going to be a decent score on some long par fours. I like him. I'll tell you what, man, with my heart though this week, I really like Victor Hovland. I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket, but I could see people have had success this year already, have success this week, which would be Matsuyama, Hovland, both those guys. I like both those guys. Of course, Rahm is going to be in the top 10, we believe, almost guarantee. But he, like I said, if you want to put your eggs in his for DraftKings, especially or FanDuel, he's going to need top 2 or win to consider rostering. So I'm gonna go with Hovland with my heart.
Yeah, I always love Victor, man. It's tough to ignore Hideki Matsuyama, just with the course history here, 2-time winner, couple top 5s. And with the recent form, man, kind of all of a sudden has some of that win equity back. Win at the Zozo. We know he won the Masters. And then a great performance at the Sony to win there. But that said, and with Rahm and JT and all these guys, I'm going back-to-back heart play, AP. I don't know if you got to catch the show last week, but I went Jordan Spieth at Pebble. And I'm going to try to keep riding the train, baby. I like it. I like it when the mojo's going well for him. It seems like good play kind of leads to good play with him. There's a real special week for him in this event last year. Showed some form last week, so I'm going back-to-back Jordan Spieth, my heart play.
I got you, Joe. Jordan Spieth back-to-back. I agree. I could see him win this week. I'd also see him going to the short par 4 and duck hooking it in the water again. So I'm pulling for you though, Joe. As always, I'm Andrew Putters. This is Joe Nicely. I didn't mention earlier, but Joe Nicely is the lead golf editor at Rotoballer.com. If you ever want to look into their premium stuff, he's always putting out great material, him and Spencer and Josh, and got a couple new guys over there as well on the golf side. Every week, check us out. One and done. We got a one and done that we do every week. We got a round table that we put together here last day of the week to see what answer some questions. And also, if you're going to be signed up for the premium package, Joe, use the promo code NICE, get a little discount on that. Still got a pretty decent price over there for right now for the rest of the year, right, Joe?
Yeah, man, it's an amazing price. It's honestly, I think, the best deal that you're going to find on a PGA DFS premium package for all of the tools that you're getting over there. When you use my promo code NICE, it gets you in there for less than $70. That takes you to the Tour Championship. So if you comparison shop with what's out there, and you look at our content and some of the contributors that we have over there, you mentioned Spencer Aguiar. We got Josh Bennett doing a course breakdown, and we brought several talented new guys onto the staff this year that we're really excited about, and we'll be getting more from throughout the year. So really encourage you guys to visit rotoballer.com and consider signing up for our PGA premium package for the rest of the year. It's a great deal.
There you go. You have it, folks. Like I said, My name's Andrew Purse, Joe Knox. If you like what you heard, hit the subscribe button, smash that like button. Hit us up on Twitter. We're always in there talking golf and whatnots. Joe, appreciate it coming back. Great to be back on the show.
Good to see you, man. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, next week we're going to be a day late. We got Valentine's Day falling on Monday, so we're going to be a day late putting the show up. It is what it is, but husbands have to survive. Like I said, I'm Andrew Purse. That's Joe Nicely. You've listened to the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast.
It's gonna drive me. It's gonna